That was David Nahmod saying today is a healing day, which is absolutely true. When you come to a spiritual center such as Agape, which is steeped in the awareness of our oneness with the Almighty, our oneness with the All-Beauty, the All-Love, the All-Joy, life itself, and we immerse ourselves in deep and reverential spiritual practices and high intentionality, there becomes we live a revelational life. That is, on a regular basis, we begin to release that which is obscuring the luminosity and the beauty of our soul that we did not create ourselves. We did not put there. We've emerged from the eternal, and our inner work and our fellowship and our soulful affirming that which is real allows us to dissipate the clouds of doubt and worry and fear and the deep sense of separation that keeps us from feeling and seeing the luminosity that we really are. Feeling keeps us from feeling and seeing our real nature and being. So it becomes a healing day, a revealing of the truth of our intrinsic nature. This month, our theme is and has been, This is Your Day, Rejoice. And we pulled from 118:24 of the Psalms. It says, this is the day the Lord has made, rejoice in it. And then, as we mentioned last week, it goes on to say that the day is not merely new because it's the day, it's new because we are being made new on a regular basis. So when we look upon it, we wake up to the best of our ability and we rejoice in this day as a spiritual practice with the awareness that every being on the planet has the same amount of hours in the day. If you meditate, you probably have a little bit more because you go into the timeless, but that's a whole other story. but most people, we have the same amount of hours and minutes and seconds, and it provides the context as a field of infinite possibilities. Every single day carries that. And so we have to ask ourselves, what are we going to contribute? What are we going to give? What are we going to share? What are we going to be in this particular day? And we begin by rejoicing and proclaiming and affirming that all of our needs are met. We begin by rejoicing and proclaiming that everything is working together for our good. And we come to the second part of that reading, which reminds us that this day is a crucible for transformation. That what we are up to is becoming greater versions of ourselves. What is the universal presence up to? Through the multidimensional, eternal, forever expanding universe, it is up to producing an individual that can perfectly reflect the entire cosmos in flesh, as we have seen from the avatars that have walked the planet heretofore. This day becomes a crucible for our transformation. We purposely move from ranting to raving. We move from ranting about how bad things are and how bad things could possibly be, embracing worst-case scenarios until it becomes a dimension of our habitual emotional pattern, to raving about the possibilities of this day, raving about the potential, raving about the time we have on the planet, raving about it into the very water in our body temple begins to hold the frequency of that dynamic rave, and we become a perpetual, not just the sisters of indulgence, but we become a perpetual likeness of God that is moving into the dynamic bliss and ecstasy of peace and well-being and oneness with God. This is the day. This is your day. Rise and rejoice in it as a spiritual practice. Today we want to rejoice in all of our relations, beginning with ourself. And that includes always the practice of meditation, where we observe from the very beginning, from the moment we wake up, we observe what mood we're in, whether we call it a good mood or bad mood, it doesn't matter. We simply observe it, and if it's not in harmony with the fundamental harmony of the universe, our observation with intentionality begins to observe those particular thought forms, and then we say to ourselves, what are we going to give this day? We celebrate and rejoice all of our relations. We begin with ourself. We begin with ourself, and we ultimately come into an understanding that we've emerged from the eternal with the feeling tone of infinite potential within us. We acknowledge that we have an incarnation and we get to do something with it. We continue to rejoice in our relations by rejoicing in the earth. We are earthlings. We are spiritual beings having an earthling incarnation. And we rejoice in Mother Earth. We rejoice in the magnificent foliage and the trees and the flowers and the grass. And we rejoice in the rivers and the oceans, the mountain ranges and the rainforests. We rejoice and we witness and bear witness to the presence of God oozing through the earth. And the ground upon which we're standing is holy because we're standing there and because the earth itself is holy. I'll always remember a meditation retreat that I was facilitating. And at periods of time, I would invite individuals to go out into nature and to have a kind of a prayerful meditation walk and just see what you see from new eyes. And I'll always remember, I can still see his face. I just say his name, his Noor. He came running in after the meditation walk, and he said, "I saw a tree." And he was so excited about it. I said, "You did?" He said, "I've passed by that tree many times. My mind always said tree. But as I walked by it this time, I saw that it was a living being. I will never see a tree another way ever again." He was rejoicing in the earth. He was rejoicing in Mother Earth. He was rejoicing in the ground, the trees, the foliage. Everything is alive. We want to rejoice in the earth. We want to rejoice in all of our relations. Do you walk barefoot on the earth every now and then and get your real earthing on and allow it to create a level of coherence with your brain and get a sense of oneness and unity with all of nature? We rejoice in the insect realm. Even roaches, yes. We rejoice, obviously, in the animal realm. We rejoice in the winged. But do you realize that if we don't have bees on this planet, we do not exist as a species? We rejoice in all of the pollinators that allow for the flowers to grow, allow for the fruit and the trees to emerge. We are rejoicing in all of our relations. This is your day. Rejoice in it. We rejoice in the embrace in our consciousness of all sentient beings. Sentient simply means anything that can feel and perceive. We rejoice in all the sentient beings on the planet, and we rejoice to such a high degree that the sense of demarcation and separation begins to dissolve, and we really see, not just believe, but we really see that we are all one, emanating from the source of all creation, which provides the context for mediation, provides the context for forgiveness, provides the context for loving, provides the context for individuals to finally mature and to turn their swords into plowshares and to put away warring behavior by the least of us. When Jesus the Christ said, we have to take care of and bless and the least of us, he was talking about the immature as well on the planet, the warmongers. And those that would seek to do violence, they are the least of us in terms of the scale of maturity, from the scale of hate to love. And I'm not talking about self-defense now. Let me just be clear. Anyway, we begin to embrace all beings on the planet as a part of our spiritual practice, as a part of our honoring and our divine reverence. We begin to rejoice in our friendships. They are a ship of friendliness that provides the context of love and support. And we curate our friendships based on the statement of keep your friends, keep your fellowship holy. You want to have individuals that are walking in the same direction of you, that have vision, are thinking possibility. And the most dangerous people on the planet are people who don't have a vision for growth, development, and unfoldment. They create a level of stagnation within their old soul that putrefies and creates a vibrational stench. And if you are unaware or not focused in your spiritual practice, you can be pulled into the downward spiral of an individual that has no vision at all. And so we keep our friends holy. We rejoice in our friendships, and when individuals don't fit anymore, with heart and with love and compassion, not with hate, with heart and love and compassion, we may have to let people go temporarily from the walk with us if they are dangerous to themselves and others. But we rejoice in our friendships. We rejoice in our family. And of course, there are two levels of family. There's the family we're born into, and there's the family that we choose. Sometimes our spiritual family contains both. Sometimes it doesn't. But we rejoice in our family with the awareness that whatever family we came into gave us the raw materials for us to take personal responsibility for our own life, and we don't have any fantasies about what our parents should have done or could have done. They did the best we could, and we take full responsibility by what we gained for the choice we made to be born into that particular family, whether it was hardship, whether it was beautiful, whether it was wonderful, whether it was difficult. It gave us the raw materials to grow, develop, and unfold and activate potential within us. We rejoice in that family, and we rejoice in the family of those that we curate and choose based on the path that we're walking. Sometimes, as I said, the family, the spiritual family and the biological family can be both. Sometimes the biological family is the horse you rode in on, keep on riding, and sometimes that family it's very close and connected. And then there's the family that you choose or is chosen by your soul. You rejoice in your familial family, you see. And then you rejoice in your intimates, your intimate relationship, your partner, your husband, your wife, however you describe it, as we give praise and thanksgiving to our friends beyond the binary, beyond the gender code. You see, we think about our intimates, and we begin to understand as we are rejoicing in our intimate relationships, we become aware that there's a dynamic flow between three levels of relationships. And everyone carries a degree of all three of these. The first level of relationship is a coercive relationship, where the relationship is basically determined by demands and coercions and ultimatums and seduction and provocation and intimidation, you see. And you know, well, if you don't do this, I'm going to do this to you, you know, and things of that particular nature. And you better do this or I'm not going to be happy, you know. And that's the level of coercion in relationships. And then it goes a little higher in the level of cooperation, where individuals kind of negotiate with each other and say, you know, this is what I would like you to do this will make me happy. And you kind of get into a transactional, let's make a deal kind of relationship. And the happiness is basically curated through cooperation. And then there's the highest form of relationship, which is called a joint participation in God. It's a joint participation in the good of God. It's a joint participation in a higher field in which individuals are taking responsibility for their own joy, for their own happiness, their own peace, and then bringing that to the relationship. And then individuals are not resentful because their happiness is not coming from someone else. And as I said, there's a dynamic flow between all three of those particular levels. And ultimately, as we continue to mature and grow and pray and love and rejoice, we love to love. When we're having a joint participation in the good of God, this is what spiritual community is. We're all participating in a field bigger than we are. It's surrounding us. It's immersing us. We're submerged in it. We're steeping in it. It's becoming more real to us than the very chairs we're sitting on. And then as that becomes active in us, there is a flow of love, a flow of kindness, a flow of patience. Non-judgmentalism begins to take place within our heart and soul, and we're not demanding that someone makes us happy. We are bringing happiness to the table. We're bringing joy to the table. If it is unrequited, if it's not accepted, that's okay. As Jesus said, wipe your dust from the feet and keep on walking. You see, but we love to love. It's a high state of maturity. And so we begin to rejoice in all of our relations, beginning with ourself, going through the earth plane, moving through all of the animals, moving through the insexual. I don't even know what that means. Insect realm. All life becomes sacred to us, you see. All sentient beings, the sense of separation, this is what happens in meditation. The sense of separation begins to dissolve. Whoops, oh, I see. Oh my God, we're one. Oh my God. I'll always remember, I don't know why this story is popping in my mind, but I was thinking about him earlier today because I want to invite him to my podcast. It's a friend by the name of Daniel Brinkley. And, Daniel is the individual who wrote the book, Saved by the Light. He was struck by lightning a number of years ago, and he died. Just a quick story. And on the way to the morgue, he came back. He started blowing on the sheet. And they opened up the sheet, and he had come back. He'd come back with prophecies, healing powers, so much. Anyway, that's the short of Daniel. So we had a wonderful guide by the name of Abbas that used to take us to Egypt, used to take us to Peru. And anyway, during the Israel and Egyptian war, it was the Americans that were fighting for Israel. And Daniel, who was a CIA contractor at the time, was killing people on the Egyptian side. And he pointed his gun at this guy, and he was about to kill him. And the guy looked at him, and the guy was pointing the gun to Daniel, and they looked at each other and did not shoot. Years later, they met at Agape. That's Abbas and Daniel. Something happened to their field, something happened to their perception, and they couldn't shoot. And years later, they met at Agape, and they became friends. And the veil of separation and governmental mind control about who you should kill and why dissolved. And in that instant, they saw reality. They saw the God in each other, you see. So that's an extreme case, an extreme example. What about us? When we rejoice in all of our relations, Earth, Mother Earth, the rivers, the rainforests, the insects, the animals, all sentient beings. And through our dynamic, consistent, reverential prayer and meditation, all of our relations, our friends, our family, our intimate relations. And we can examine the mind and see where we're demanding something from somebody. We can curate our mind and look and see where we're transactional. We can look in our mind and see where I just love to love. I just would love to love. And then individuals begin to participate from God. And we become the matrix. Not the matrix in the movie The Matrix, but we become the matrix in the openness that allow for the presence to come through. You see, we mature into loving to love. Dr. King spoke about unconditional love at this level. Dr. Thurman talked about this kind of love guiding the civil and human rights movement, so that which we were seeking to create, a kind and just global society, was not leaving anyone out, even those who think they hate others based on nationality, colors of skin, sexual orientation, etc. If we're going to build that world, then we have to be the avenue from the source of all creation, being a joint participant in something that is larger than all of us. We let that flow through our relations. We check the mind and see what aspect is operating at that particular moment, so that ultimately we're always being sourced by the Creator, but now consciously available. And then there's so much overflow that takes place in every area of our life. But there must be practice to provide the consciousness of insight and revelation, so that what I'm saying, you may believe what I am saying. As I said in the way of meditation service, you may believe this, but you merely believing these principles is not heal you. There has to be an insight and a revelation around it. There has to be an embodiment around it, or it just remains a belief system. That's why we call it BS, a belief system that has very little impact in our life. And as I was saying in the earlier service, that the rise of fundamentalism happens because there are believers who do not believe what they believe, because they haven't had an embodiment of what they believe, and so they fall prey to judgmentalism. If someone doesn't believe the way they believe, then they're out of the kingdom, you see? Or they become radical fundamentalists and think that everybody's going to hell except for them, and they proselytize because inside they don't believe what they believe. They're afraid that what they believe is not so. So they have to get more people to believe the way that they believe. But when you catch an insight and it's really alive within you, you're not trying to get followers. You're living your life, letting your light so shine before individuals that when they see you, they see God. You don't have to try to convince anyone. Your light shines. Your love becomes available. It's who you are. Your sense of peace is right there. You transcend religion. You see. And so, in this month of rejoicing, we are moving from ranting to rejoicing. We're starting with ourself in this day. It's a day of a transformational crucible. We're looking at our mood even when we wake up. Whether your mind wants to call it good or bad, doesn't even matter. It's just a mood. You just observe it, so you realize it's just passing through. It's not who you are. And then you say to yourself in substance, what am I going to give to this day? That starts it. The universe will start answering that. What am I going to give to this day? How am I going to be more myself this day? That's the kind of question you want to ask yourself. And then throughout the day, you rejoice in all of your relations, beginning with yourself, including the cosmos, the galaxies, the stars, the quirks, even quirky people. The earth, oozing with life. Rivers, lakes, rainforests, animals, the pollinators, all holy, all have a purpose, all have a purpose, all sentient beings, all life, oneness, oneness, oneness. Everything is sacred. All of our friendships, let them be holy. Holy company. Holy company. Holy company. Holy company. Whew. Our family gave us everything we needed to fulfill our destiny. We release the fantasies of what they should have been and embrace what has been given as a destination point for us, curating our gifts and talents and capacities. You see, we're intimate. We see the dynamic of coercion, cooperation, and participation in the realm of God. And with prayer and meditation, we just kind of move up that scale, but not beating ourselves up when we fall down the scale, so that everything becomes holy. Everything is holy. Everything is holy. Everything is shining with the light of God. I'll always remember one of my first awakenings when the beauty and the love of the presence was so intense. And I remember just looking at a piece of lint on the rug, and it was shining with the divine. There was no place where the presence wasn't shining. Woo! And revealing its nature. We want to rejoice in all of our relations. This is the day the Lord has made. This is the day the great law of life has made. This is the day fraught with infinite possibilities. Rejoice and be glad in it as a spiritual practice. And the day is not merely new because it's a new day. We are becoming new every day with practice. Behold, I make all things new. The obscurations of the mind, providing clouds, preventing us from seeing the sun, are diminishing with every high-minded, open-hearted intentionality. Affirmation, declaration, proclamation, announcement, until we can see. And once we've seen, we can't unsee what we have seen. God is everywhere, teeming with itself, wanting to know itself as each and every one of us. You have the authority to give yourself permission to glow for God. You have the authority, the inner authority to give yourself permission to be all right. You can give yourself permission to be happy. You can give yourself permission to be happy. Extract your attention for a moment from circumstances. For a moment. I'm thinking about one of our practitioners here. He probably wouldn't mind me mentioning his name, but since I didn't ask for permission, I won't. Where a couple of years ago, his entire house burnt down. He lost everything that he had. And he goes on to talk about as he was sleeping on couches and things, and that a sense of peace came over him. Sense of freedom. Even a sense of joy. As he maintained his spiritual practice, he was not attached to anything. And as he began to accumulate again, he never forgot that his freedom and his joy came directly from the presence, not from his house, not from his clothes, not from the things he thought he owned, which are all temporary. Something opened up in him. So in this temporary incarnation that we have, let us make the most of it. Yes. This temporary incarnation, let us make the most of this incarnation. Let us love to love. Let us love to share. Let us love to be a vehicle of inspiration and creativity and generosity and beauty. Let's not fritter away our time with blame, unforgiveness, shame, and the denial of the light that is within us. The light that lights up every being that comes to the planet. Feel this in your bones. Feel it. This is the day. No. This is your day. This is your day. Rejoice in it. What are you going to do with it? How are you going to be different at the end of this week? How are you going to be different? What new quality are you going to celebrate moving out of you? Until that quality transmutes itself into essence. It will go from quality to being the very essence of your being. People will smell it on you. You smell like peace. You smell like love. Ooh, you smell like beauty. Ooh, I feel the essence of God all around you. Rejoice in all of your relations. and you'll see there's only one with the presence of God in you, through you, as you, if you're willing. Let's turn within in this moment, and let us give something right now. Let us give thanks. Let us give thanks that we exist. Let us give thanks that we are alive. Let us give thanks that we are awake. Let us give thanks that whatever it was that pulled us to be here at Agape today was our soul itself saying, I want to be free. Whether you're on our Facebook page or YouTube or agapelive.com, whatever pulled you to be here. Curiosity, that's all right. A friend told you, that's all right. Your inspiration, that's all right. You were looking for something to judge today, that's all right. But you're here now. Give thanks for your life. You're here now. Give thanks for your life. Give thanks for your life. Give thanks for your life. As we give thanks for our life. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. If you got time for only one prayer, you know what it is. Thank you. Listen. We're giving thanks right now, and we're recognizing a presence that's closer than our neck vein, closer than our breathing, closer than our hands and feet, closer than we are to our personality, than our personality self. Oh! This pure recognition and a feeling tone of oneness with life, I declare and decree and announce that this is the day, and we use it magnificently. Oh! That every organ and action of our body is made every whit whole. Our mental body is clear. Our emotional body is pure. The body of our affairs are reflecting and revealing the fundamental order of the cosmos. And we accept this. We may have been going to the ocean of devotion with a thimble, but now we're swimming in it, surfing on it, diving deep in it. Everything we could want and hope for and desire is already been given. We are available, open. Every need is met. Right now, we got to feel it first. There's nothing wrong with feeling it. That's the right use of the sacred law. Feel it to heal it. Feel it to reveal it. Feel it to seal it. Now. Woo! Help them feel it for a second. Help them feel it for a second.
Gonna feel it, rejoice in this life. All of the ways I walked in pain.
Yeah.
All of the times I felt I couldn't go on. The guilt, the shame, and all of the things that held me down, they're falling away from me.
It's all falling
Just
away.
falling away from me. I'm rising up,
Rise.
rising. It's all falling away, yes, away from me. Falling, falling, falling away from me. Yeah.
Let it all go. Just everybody just do this. All of the shame, the guilt, the blame, the sense of unworthiness, those places where you doubt yourself, it's all falling away as we rise up in consciousness of the all good, It's all falling away. We're letting it all go today. This is the day calling us to rejoice in infinite potential, divine possibilities. It's all falling away today. Oh. Woo. Oh.
Falling away from me, falling away from me. I'm rising up. It's all falling, yes, away from me.
Let yourself feel the rise in you. Let yourself. If depression is happening, imagine yourself serving someone that has it worse than you. Just see that energy go from depressed to expressed. Just see the energy rising up to assist somebody so that that which is depressed becomes expressed. And then new ideas start to flow and infinite possibilities start to show up. You can do this.